Hello, it's time to get things started on RB&D reviews tonight. I'm Rob.
And I'm Dave.
And, of course, we'll be reviewing the new movie, The Muppets, starring, of course, the Muppets. The story pretty much is in a small town called Happyville, which is kind of a reminder of the old 50s sitcoms, you know, kind of like Pleasantville and all that stuff.
Yeah.
There's a Muppet named Walter and his brother, played by Jason Segal, who decide to go with Jason Segal's character's girlfriend, played by Amy Adams, to Hollywood, and they decide to go stop over at the old Muppet studio because Walter, he's a Muppet, obviously, and he's been a big fan of the show for years, and he's always turned to that show when he was growing up to, you know, make him feel better because he's a lonely character. But then they discover that the studio's pretty much closed down, and that this rich Texas oil guy is planning on buying the studio because there's oil underneath it and destroy the Muppet studio. Walter and his friends decide to track down the Muppets, starting with Kermit, and they try to raise the money to get that studio back. So I was really excited to see this movie, Dave, because there hasn't really been a theatrical Muppet movie really in a while, so I was really looking forward to it. And I gotta say, this movie, it's been a lot of people have been saying this is the best Muppet movies in years, and I guess it is, but to me, it's not quite as good as the ones that were made when Jim Henson was still alive, like the Muppet movie, The Great Muppet Caper, and Muppets Take Manhattan.
Yeah, since Jim Henson passed away, they really haven't had like much idea of what to do with things. They've basically just, I think they basically use a lot of the old gags from the original three, and they try and think up ways that would have made him happy as they continue his legacy. But they're not really the same. This one was a lot better than the last Muppet movie, that Treasure Island one.
Well, there was Muppets in Space, and then there was that Muppet Wizard of Oz that came later.
Yeah, the Muppet Wizard of Oz was kind of creative, but not that great. But yeah, it's nothing like the original three.
Yeah, I mean, there's some stuff that I liked. I mean, for one thing, there's some laughs in this movie, as you expect from a Muppet movie, but they're not really laugh out loud. And of course, like the other Muppet movies, they usually make fun of current stuff. Like in this case, there's a really funny bit where they make fun of this movie makes fun of reality TV.
Right.
And it also, this movie oftentimes raises the point is whether people will go see a Muppet production, because a lot of things this film suggests have taken their place. Like there's computer animated movies, and you know there's reality TV, and people are like, are they going to go and watch a Muppet thing? That was a question that was raised during this movie. That's one of the things that bugged me about this movie. Since this movie was made by Disney, there's a ton of Disney product placement. Like there's a poster for Cars 2. There's posters for stuff like Winnie the Pooh on windows that I noticed all over the place, which I thought was a little distracting to me.
Yeah, this could have still been like Jim Henson Productions, you know. It might have been a lot better, and I think there would have been a little more original comical relief how it used to be.
Well, there is. I think the best part in the movie was the Muppet Show, which I think is, like I just said, it's the best, in my opinion, it's the best thing out of the whole movie. It's like they did a good job at bringing back what made the Muppet Show, you know, what it was. It was funny. There was some good creative gags. You know, I think for a while it's not quite as good up until that show, but that show in the movie was really, really good, and that was my favorite part. To me, the songs just weren't as memorable as some of the other movies. You know, like we just got out of the theater, and I really don't remember any of the lyrics to any of the songs.
Yeah.
I know there's a number where Kermit's going down the hall, and he's looking at old posters, and then there's a few good song and dance numbers. But I don't remember what the words are. You know, it's not like Rainbow Connection where you can remember the words, or perhaps there's a couple stuff from Muppet Christmas Carol I can still remember the words to. I think it's because they both shared the same songwriter. Maybe that's why.
Yeah.
This movie is much like the other Muppet movies. They're trying to accomplish something which seems impossible, like Kermit was trying to accomplish going to Hollywood in the Muppet movie and taking the show to Broadway in Muppets Take Manhattan. It's the same thing here, so it's pretty familiar territory, but it's territory that does work, and I think it's a very good thing.
Yeah, they kept up with current trends. They had like a lot of current stars, like Jack Black was in here, and there was and there was a few others that.
Oh, there was a lot of them. There was Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt, yeah,
Yeah.
she's real popular right now.
Well, there weren't all current stars like Alan Arkin, who's been around for years. You know, he was at the studio. I believe he was the tour guide. So this movie, it does have. Well, that's the thing about the Muppets, like in the movies and the TV shows. They always had somebody, you know, that was popular at that time in their stuff. You know, so I mean, they do use some recent stars, but they've also used a couple well-known people in this movie as well. So it follows the tradition of using guest stars in their work too. The movie, I think, is all right. I mean, I think it's harmless fun. I mean, it's not the best Muppet movie ever made. I'm going to give it a mild seed in theaters. I think it's entertaining and it's worth checking out. It's just not quite a laugh-out-loud movie, but it does, you know, follow the usual formula, which works, and there's some good pokes at stuff that's current, like I said, reality TV and all that.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna say rent it, because it's. I don't think it's really worth spending the money in theaters. I mean, the kids. I mean, they're gonna get the most laughs out of it, but they're not gonna I don't think they're gonna understand the general situation, because there's some adult subject matter in this that they're not going to understand. Well, basically with like relationship wise and all that.
Well, some of that stuff is they did with the Shrek movies, and that movie was popular with kids and adults, especially the first one. And actually in the movie theater, I thought adults were laughing more than the kids were.
Yeah, because this is more the adults that were probably in the theater. They remember the old show and whatnot, and it was more popular when they were kids than it is now. I mean, they basically are just trying to do this to see if kids now of today are gonna like come on to this and whatnot.
It was nice to see. We were going in the screening room, and families brought their kids, parents brought their kids, even though some were a little disruptive.
Right.
That drove me nuts, but
yeah,
but they were. I think it's nice. I think in a way, people are, families are coming. I wouldn't say they're coming back together, but the families are, they're going with to see this. I wouldn't call it an event, but they're coming together and they're having a good time. They're going out, from what I've seen. Especially around this time, because Thanksgiving here just passed, and of course Christmas time, there's a ton of movies coming out, so right. I think it's a nice occasion. Like I said, it's not the best Muppet movie that I've seen, but I think it's got some laughs, and it does kind of work, so I definitely say check this one out. Well, that's our review of the Muppets. I think it's worth seeing in theaters, and Dave says to wait till it comes out on DVD, so now we're going to open the floor to you. What did you think of the Muppets? Leave your comments as well as any feedback you have about this video, and thank you for watching.